All right, we are on. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to BLAW Live. This is Bishop Larry Ward, and we call it BLAW Live because we're here tonight, and we're going to share something that I hope that will be encouraging, will be inspiration to you, but also be helpful for you in your everyday life. And so each and every week, we want to have some information or a special guest on with us that will help you in many different areas, whether it's education or talking about health, talking about different issues and concerns, and also raising awareness and having stories that will be a benefit to you. So thank you for joining us. Share with a friend. And so as we're on tonight, let them know that we're on BLAW Live and we have a special guest with us. And so tonight, we are honored to have Manny Pierre with us this evening, and he is one of our teachers in the City of Boston school system. I just want to just give you a little bit of bio on him. Manny Pierre grew up in Cambridge, and he attended Cambridge Marquette University, where he got his bachelor's degree in communications. And after moving back to Boston, he attended and graduated from Boston College, and he earned his master's degree in elementary education. Manny now works at the Boston Public Schools, and he is also serving as a second grade teacher. And so we're glad to have you, Manny, with us on BLAW Live. So how are you doing tonight?
Doing well, thank you. I'm happy to be here with you guys. I appreciate you guys bringing me on.
Well, it's good to have you. So I want to start right in with the lead question. And kind of let's talk about a year ago. If we kind of go back to a year ago, this is kind of like the anniversary time of when we were introduced to the pandemic, COVID-19. And when it comes to you as an educator, and you started seeing schools close down and started seeing business close down, talk about the impact.
Well, I'd say a year ago, I think when school started to close down, I thought I was only gone. That was gonna be like a quick vacation, maybe like 2 weeks. I remember there was a boy in my room who told me, I'm not gonna see you again the rest of the year. And I kind of just laughed at him. And then a month went by, and then another month went by, and then, I realized that, we actually weren't going back. Um, and now that I think about that, it's been a year since everything that happened. I think it's just been crazy. But yeah, I would have never expected this to happen. I thought, and even my coworkers and we thought we were only going away for like 2 weeks, like, a nice 2 week break
Wow.
in the school year. And it turned out to be more than that. So,
Wow. So how many years have you been a second grade school teacher? How many years?
this is my first year being a second grade teacher. Uh,
Wow. So,
Last year,
so your first year was just kind of like this really baptism by fire.
pretty much, yeah. I started a new school this year. I'm at the Henderson. It's in Dorchester, and pretty much, really, all I know is Zoom. So, my principal makes jokes about it all the time that all I really know is Zoom. Uh, and like even my last year, in March, basically like I've had a year's worth of Zoom. So
Wow.
never had like the full year in a classroom, which is pretty crazy. Um, but yeah, I'd say, even though it's on Zoom, uh, the kids make the best of it. We make the best of it. Uh, and I'd say there's still learning going on. I thank God for that every day. Because when I first started out, I didn't really know how it was gonna work. Um, Kids didn't know how to mute. Kids didn't know how to get on. Kids didn't know how to turn their screens. But I would say, thanking God that now, these kids are like pros at it. Like, all they know is the remote Zoom. So it's been interesting having them come back and like reacclimating them into like in school life, because they've been used to the go on mute, stay get off mute. They've been used to like just doing assignments online. They've been used to like not having to put pen to paper, and now it's kind of just an adjustment for them again.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So when it comes to the going back, just so you know, you're back in school, and you probably have to take a day off, I would imagine, for them to clean the school still. So how are you feeling personally as a teacher? You know, going into the system, and how are teachers actually doing? How are teachers actually doing, and yourself?
I would say for me, I think I'm doing pretty well. Um, the first week was an adjustment, but after that first week, it was kind of like riding a bike per se. I'd say the only thing that's still real tough is like, you have the kids in person and then you have the kids on Zoom, and you gotta find a way of like going back and forth. And I remember the first week was tough for me because I felt like I was neglecting the kids on Zoom because like everything was like, I was so focused on the kids in person and trying to get them like reacclimated with like in school life. Um, so that's been tough, but now I feel like, I have a good kind of balance of like how to still be engaged with the kids on Zoom and also keep the kids in the classroom engaged. Um, I think with teachers, I really think it just depends on who the teacher is and their personality. I mean, I know teachers who are still having a tough time doing this, and I know some teachers who are just like, okay, this is what it is. We'll make it work. But I would say for the most part, from what I've seen, it's going better than what as a group of teachers we thought it would go. But I could also say like every school is different. So, but I would say at our school, I think it's going pretty well, um, to say the least.
Well, that's good. It's good that you're able to make that adjustments. So how are your kids doing? They've been away, you know, almost a year. How are they doing? When it comes to some kids coming in, some kids are at home. How are they actually doing?
They're they're doing all right. I'd say some of the biggest adjustment for some of them is that they realize they can't eat all the time now. So
Eat.
um some of them have been like, we can't eat right now. I'm like, no, we're back in school. Like you can't be eating. But I would say the kids are doing all right. I mean, I'd say they're really happy to see their friends. And I would say out of anything, I'm happy that we're back in school because of them. Um, I feel like as grown-ups, we kind of got used to Zoom and like making it work, but you could tell like with them, they were so excited to see their friends. And it just wasn't the same. Like, you could put them in breakout rooms and they could talk to each other, but like when they saw each other in person, they're like their faces just lit up and they were so happy. I'd say, coming back to school, obviously you got like they're second graders. So I mean, it's not like they're like fifth graders or sixth graders. So there is that like adjustment period of like letting them know, okay, this is how we line up. This is how we push our chair in. This is where we go to put our homework away. So there is that adjustment period. But I would say for all in all, they've been pretty good about it. Um, and I think really they're just so excited to be back in school that, it's been pretty easy, like, getting them to do things and getting our routines down. Um, but yeah, I would say it's been pretty good. I think the kids are super excited to be back. And, I'm happy for them for that. I mean, I'm happy to be back as a teacher, but I'm really happy. Like you can see, I'm happy for them. Like they really needed it.
That's really good. So one question that came to my mind as you were talking about, the kids feeling happy. Um, there's a lot of talk about how the pandemic really forced everybody online, in that children fell behind. They seem to be falling behind. And what pressure does that add to you as a teacher? You know, Now that they're opening back up, and you see kids that are in school again, to try to figure out how to catch them up, if that's the word, catch them up, or get back on track, or get back to the level by which they can really move forward. So what are your thoughts about that as a teacher?
I would say for me personally, I mean, I like it's different with every teacher. I wouldn't say necessarily I feel pressure. I would say with my class, I've established like routines where we know that like it's kind of like I feel like it's coaching. That like every day we get better. Every day, we're not gonna if we don't reach the milestone, we're just gonna get better every day. So I would say for me this year, it was really just helping them improve. Um, I went into the year, I gotta be honest, thinking like, okay, no one's gonna reach that mountaintop of okay, they're ready for third grade. That was just me personally. I just thought it wasn't gonna be possible. But I would say my class, they've been really good about it, and they're they're some of them they're exceeding my expectations. Um, and so I would say there is pressure depending, but I also think it depends on like the teacher's mentality and what they're looking for. Um, because at the end of the day, I know like for me as a student, I wasn't always the best student, and the one thing I knew I can control was my effort. And my kids are kind of the same way. I always tell them like, hey, you may not get the best grade on this one test, but if I know you tried hard, that's really all I care about. So I would say for me personally, I don't put pressure on myself because I know they're getting better. I mean, they're not where they were at the beginning of the year. And it's awesome. Really is awesome if they reach that level. But for me personally, I think my main standard is that they get better throughout the year. And I could personally say like, even though we're on Zoom, you could clearly see the difference and them get like their academics, them being more independent, being able to do things on their own. So I would say, depending on who you are as a teacher, you may have a different answer to that. But for me, I just feel like hard work, effort, that's what's mainly important to me. And, chips fall where they may at the end. But as long as I see like we're improving, that's really all I ask of them. And, that's something that I tell them the first day of school is that, don't want to like worry about your grades, but the main thing Mr. P wants you to do is work hard. Is that you work hard, that's your job. My job is to do everything else to make sure you're the best you could be. But I just tell them you gotta try hard. There's no excuse for not trying hard. And a lot of that has to do with me because I wasn't the best of students. I didn't get the best of grades. Um, some days, like my friends tell me, they still can't believe I'm a teacher. Um, and but it's been cool because like a lot of them can come see me now teach since we're on Zoom. So a lot of them come Zoom in and like watch. But yeah, I'd say also I think me as a teacher, I really simplify things for them, where it's just like okay, just try hard, just try hard. And I could honestly say like my group been trying hard all year, so there is pressure to get them to like that grade level standard, but I mean, I'm a kind of I wouldn't say it's like being realistic. I'm just kind of like, you know, everyone comes in at different levels. You can't control where someone comes in, and it's awesome if they make that jump and they're ready. But for me, mainly it's about improvement and then getting better as people, but also as students.
Wow, that's great. Glad your students are adjusting. And so I got a question for you, and I'm also going to invite the audience as well. That if you have a question, you can certainly put it into the chat, and we'll work on answering the question in our next 15 minutes that we have together. But I want to lead off with this question. It says the leaders of three Massachusetts teachers unions backed emergency legislation and filed a state lawmakers requiring that the education commissioner to give the districts more time to prepare for full-time return of the elementary school. And if they choose to get vaccinated, that's, one thing or not, they can choose to get vaccinated or not. Um, are you kind of in support of this whole vaccination? Are you inquired to get the vaccination yourself? Are you moving forward to getting a vaccination? Where And what do you
So
think?
you broke up there for a little bit, but I think you're asking about vaccine.
Yeah, what do you think about the vaccine and the teachers returning back um, and getting the
I,
vaccine and maybe not getting the vaccine? What's your thoughts on that?
I would say, I support people getting the vaccine, especially, to we want to be as ready as possibly can to, support our students. And it sounds like getting the vaccine is one of the ways that, is a way that we could go about supporting our students and making sure, they have the most safest learning environment. I would say for me personally, um, I will get the vaccine, but I'm not going to get it right away. For me, I just base it off of like, I feel like there's a lot of people out there who need it a lot more than me. And I don't feel right uh, kind of like hopping over them just because obviously my role is very important. But, I mean, I'm young, I'm healthy, I get tested every week. Um, my school does a great job at that. We get tested every week, we get our results back right away. So I would say I support getting the vaccine. I wish everyone get the vaccine, but I say me personally, right now I'm not getting it because I just feel like there's a lot more people who need it more than me, and who are older, have underlying conditions. And yes, I know my role, my occupation is really important. That's why we got we're on the second wave,
Yeah,
but I feel like I mean, I wear my mask. I do all the safety protocols, and like you said, I'm young. I feel like I mean, if I was 60, I'd be like, yeah, go get your vaccine, man. Like, but right now, I feel like I'm young. And I feel like there's a lot of other people in society, America, who need it much more than I do
mm,
right now. So that's my feeling behind it. If I support you getting it. You should get it. We want to be as safe as possible, but I'm kind of looking out. I'm taking the selfless point of view and kind of saying, there's a lot of people out there just because they're not teachers, but they need it more than I do at this current moment in time. And I don't feel like it's fair to me like just hopping them over when they most likely
good.
need it a lot more than me. So I will get it. I'm just not getting it right now, but I will
Okay,
eventually.
that's that's an answer.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's an answer. I got two questions that have come in from our audience. And first question is, what tips could you give a parent whose child is having a hard time adjusting, and what can a parent do to help make that adjustment smooth for their child when it comes to this returning back to school after such a long time?
I would say like tips for parents. Um, I mean, it's different with every kid, obviously. I'd say like just checking in on them on a consistent, like, you know, sit with them at nighttime. And like I said, every situation is different. Some parents don't have time to do this, but just a quick check in, talking to them about their day, um, would be, I think, the number one thing to go. Because some kids may be happy to be back to school, but some other ones, maybe they're happy, but they're still like, they may be completely new to the school. I know my school, it's different because we're a K to 12 school, and the lower school ends at first grade, and the upper school starts at second grade and goes 2 to 12. And so for my kids, it's their first time even in the building, so they're not used to the building. Um, but to answer your question, I'd say just parents checking in on their kids. I'd say contacting their teachers. Just asking for like regular check-ins. I know like I open myself to my parents. I always tell them, there's a 24-hour like rule. Like I will get to you within 24 hours, but just quick check-in, asking like, hey, how's everything going? Is there anything I could do? Like teachers appreciate that because we're at the end of the day, we're a team. I even tell my parents like, they know their kid better than I know them. So the more information they can give me on their kid, the better it is for me to help them reach their academic goals and also reach, their goal is growing as people. But I would say contacting a teacher, whether it's like email or text, and then just checking in on your child, just, even if it's just a little 5 minute conversation. Hey, how's your day? Or, what did you learn today? Tell me one thing you learned today. I'd say that's probably the way to go about it.
It's good. That's a helpful tip. The second question is this. Um, what if you feel your child is behind in their academics? And is there a plan to get them up to speed? Um, and I know that growing up, my parents were very, very concerned about my academics and my progress. So, what would you say to a parent who's very concerned about their academics of their child and their falling by? What would you say to help them catch up?
I'd say to help them catch up. I mean, I feel that a lot of it comes with time and like maturity level. I mean, just to think about, I mean, I could just go off the situation from last year. Um, I'm blessed to be able to still see my students from last year, from third grade, and because sometimes I zoom into their classes, and it's like night and day who they are as people and their academics. And I think for me, I didn't really see it at the end of March or even at the end of last year, but I think that summertime there was just like I think I think it doesn't really, you can't really put a finger on it. It just kind of like happens, and like I see them now, and they like academically they're so like far ahead of where I like expected them to be coming at leaving third grade. And like, but I would say to that parent, as a plan, I mean, there's many different avenues you can go. Personally, I think one of the avenues that is probably good is if your school has like an extended learning year, to sign up your child for that. Um, I don't know if it will be, I know I did it last year for the school I was entering in, and it was over Zoom. I don't know the district that your child, whatever district, it's different every district for wherever that person's child is. I'd say just check with your school district if they offer an extended school year. I would say that would be really way to go if you're like really really concerned. That extended school year will be, I feel like, beneficial because I know I started at my school doing extended school year during the summer, and a lot of the kids that I had, it was the first graders from last year, and I had them before they came to second grade, and like from who they were over the summertime and now it's completely different. Um,
Well,
so I would say one, every kid is different. There's like that maturity. There's that one summer where it just probably clicks. Um, but and like things change. But I would say, you know, don't be nervous about that. I mean, it's not just your child. It's tons of kids in America. But I would say if they can do extended learning year, if their school district offers that, that would be a great way to go. 'Cause, like, but also it's different. Some parents may not have time for that. But I'd say if you can possibly get your child into that or a program on the side, that kind of, I think one of the biggest things for this upcoming year is just making sure that, especially since we're on Zoom and they're only in school for like a little bit, making sure that their mind is still in academic mode during the summer or still doing something. Not, I'm not saying like the whole like summer be doing school, but like make sure they're stimulated their minds academically at least during the summer. So, read every day, read every day. I didn't like reading growing up, so I could sympathize with any kid who doesn't like reading. But if it's just like 10 pages a day, read 10 pages a day. If you give them like a couple of math problems on the side, doing some math problems on the side. I know right now I don't know if they're going to be able to keep their Chromebooks I know last year they kept their Chromebooks over the summertime, but the apps that are on the Chromebooks, I know UPS uses Clever, and like kids like being on the apps more than pencil and paper. If they could like use those apps during the school year, I mean during the summertime, have them on those apps. So I'd say that's the way. If you could get an extended learning school year, that'd be great. If not, just kind of have their mind stimulated in some type of educational activity, at least, if not daily, every other day. Just
Uh,
so
that's good.
because like you said, like we haven't been in like a regular school year, and it's gonna be like almost 2 years now where we've been in like school, like we're in the school building from like September to June. So I would say making sure if you can don't go overboard with it, but if you have them stimulating their minds on, oh yeah, I need to read, or oh yeah, there's this multiplication, or, give them like a couple of multiplication problems on the side before dinner time or something like that. I'd say
So
just those
parents are going to have
things.
to do that work.
Yeah.
So parents pretty much are going to have to get involved and do some of that work,
Yeah.
both now and in the summer, to really help out. Get their children on par. But that's really good. That's really good.
Yeah.
So just in a few more minutes that I have left, I always ask this question to my guests. How does your faith impact your work as a teacher?
That's interesting. I would say that's a really good question. Um, I could point to, if you don't mind, I had like one experience that I had last year, like during a men's Bible study. And I always said there's one day I asked a question and I said, like, how do you talk to people about God? Like, you don't just like, I'm a person who's like pretty chill, and I don't feel like, just rushing up to people and be like, hey, you know what, come to church on Sunday. Or, I feel like, I don't feel comfortable doing that. And that's kind of, so like, I was always like, I know we're supposed to talk to people about God, but like, how does it happen? Like, what happens? And then the person I was talking to was telling me that if you just sit back, it will come to you. Um, and so there was a time last year where we had our morning meeting, and there was a boy, his name was Brian. And I'm asking everyone, what they did over the weekend. And Brian says, I went to church. And, normally I feel like the politically correct thing nowadays is to be like, we don't talk about God in school. We don't talk about that. But I remember what the guy told me, and I saw it as like an opportunity to like talk to them about God. So Brian says, I went to church. And then a simple question of like me saying, all right, who else went to church? Did anyone else go to church? A couple other kids raised their hands. Some don't. Then they asked me, Mr. P, you go to church? I'm like, yeah, I go to church. I go to church every single Sunday. I try my best to go to church every single Sunday. And then we just started talking about church. We just started talking about God. And then we didn't talk about everything all in that one little circle. But that one conversation led to like Brian asking me every single Monday, Mr. P, did you go to church? Mr. P, this is what I did at church. This is what the pastor said. So, and I'd say like so that's one powerful moment that always sticks with me. Ryan in our Monday morning circle saying, he went to church. Do you go to church? And then, everyone else who went to church was feel comfortable say like, okay, I go to church too. And then, everyone felt comfortable saying like, okay, this is what I know about God. This is what I don't know about God. And because I could have easily, before I talked to that person I talked to, I would easily be the person who's like, oh God, nah, we're not doing that right now. God. We don't talk about that in school. But I'll never forget when that Brian brought that moment, and it's exactly what the guy said. I don't have to do anything. It will come to me. Moments will come, and the little moments will come where you could talk about God and you could show people your faith and what you believe in. And like, it's a little different for me because my crowd is like 9 and 10 year olds. But I always believe, those 9 and 10-year-olds, they're the future. So you can start with them. It only leads to bigger and better things. But I would say that's kind of how my faith uh, works with my job. Um,
Good.
yeah, I'd
That's
say.
good. That's good. That's a good testimony. Just letting people know that in many cases that as we live out our faith and we do it in our work, opportunities do come to us to be able to talk about the Lord and talk about our faith and how it impacts people's lives. So,
Yeah, and
well,
I will say, like, I mean, I think I heard you, like, you said this before, like, people can clearly see, like, if you believe in God, or it's like see, like, your values just by how you carry yourself. You carry yourself the right way. Like, you don't really have to say anything. People could, like, automatically, like, pick up on it and see, like, okay, like, he moves a little different, or she moves a little different. And, like, I feel like nowadays, being like, with everything that's gone on, where we can't all go to church. Um, the girl from our church, Darlene Reed, she told me that, now is the moment probably in life where we could bring as much people as we can to church, because we don't have to say, hey, come to church with me on Sunday, because right now church isn't open on Sunday.
right.
So now it's like, okay, hey, you want to talk? You want to have a conversation? And just like having a conversation can lead to, when churches open up, so and so being like, oh, okay, I feel more comfortable coming, compared to, like, if, like, I talk to them right that first initial conversation, I talk to them like, hey, you know what, come to church with me also this week. Um, but I'd say I know that's like a loaded answer, but I'd say yeah.
That's good. That's good. It's a great evangelism opportunity to talk to people about their faith and really invite them to experience God and learn what God can do for them. And even if they're seeking for answers and they're seeking for something, it's a good opportunity for us because we're out there in the marketplace doing our jobs and doing it well. So, but thank you very much for coming and being a part of BLAW Live. That's all the time we have for the evening.
Yeah, thank
But
you.
I'm going to have you back because we're going to talk about some more things related to education, and I want to commend you for being just vigilant and really stepping up in the teaching field as a man of color to just stand up and teach, because I didn't see many men of color in terms of the education system until I actually got to college. That's the first African American man I had teaching me was when I was in college. So I just commend you for being there, being present in the lives of students at such a young age and really pouring into their lives. So
Yeah,
thank you for coming.
yeah, I appreciate it. I mean, I agree. I didn't have the first male African American teacher until college, and then I was thinking about it the other day. I was like looking around, I was like, wow, like, these guys could literally say, like, next year, I've already had an African American teacher. They're gonna be in third grade, so
That's
yeah,
cool.
that's pretty
That's awesome.
cool.
That's awesome. Well, thank you everyone for joining us here at BLAW Live. We're a little over our time, but thank you for staying with us. And want to thank Manny again for being a part of this conversation and sharing his insight. So may the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord cause his face to shine upon you. We look forward to coming back again, Lord willing, on Tuesday evening for another BLAW Live. Have a great evening